Hey, Well Church, we're at sort of a lookout portion of the city. Wasn't that incredible worship? We didn't expect that when we came up. We came up these stairs, and the first thing he said when we got out of the van was, look out for needles and used condoms, and just watch where you step. And then we walked up the steps, and then they were their friends that they just met, who were also planning a church here in Namibia, which is incredible. We're just leading in worship, and I just thought, what an incredible visual and musical collision of darkness and light coming together. And I can't wait to see what God will do through our time here and through our time in June. And I really believe that the Lord is leading us to make an incredible investment into the people, to the nation, through Windhoek Namibia, and through Adam and Alicia Fogelman. Awesome. God bless.
Going through, and he is just looking at the sites and the projects and spending some time with the missionaries, Adam and Alicia Fogelman, there in Namibia. And so he is kind of laying some groundwork and preparing for our team who is going to Africa in June. So he is doing that. That's where he is this week. So you get to hear me, I guess. Here we are. We're doing it. I think it's only like 8 p.m. there, which means he's probably watching, which makes me a little more nervous. So if I see Miranda look at her phone and be like, just let it happen. I don't know if you saw these at the back, but I found these cute little church notepads online this week. And I don't know about you, but I take things a little bit better if I can write some notes down. And I know that we don't do a handout anymore, and there's not a lot of room on the Connect card. So if you want to take some notes, these are still at the back of the room. They're just these tiny little notepads. You can rip it off. You can stick it in your Bible. If you are a real Christian, you'll take one of these. So, did he text you yet? Am I fired yet? No? Okay. I'm just joking. But they are available to you if you want them. Oh, my goodness. All right, so today we're going to be in the book of Proverbs. Proverbs is a book of wisdom, and we're going to be looking at Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23, that says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything that you do flows from it. I love this verse because no matter what translation you read, no matter what Bible you have, what translation, it says it just a little bit differently, all meaning the same thing, but emphasizing some different words. So the ESV says, keep your heart with all vigilance, for from it flows the spring of life. The King James Version says, keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. The New Living Translation says, guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. The Message says, keep vigilant watch over your heart. That's where life starts. And the New American Standard Bible says, watch over your heart with all diligence, for from it flows the spring of life. So all of these translations can really point to the fact that your heart is important and that we need to take care of it. So the NIV, again, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Today we're going to be talking about boring heart work. Boring heart work. So why the heart? I asked ChatGPT, if you're not using ChatGPT, you need to, okay? Any questions you have, she has an answer. And I think Chat is a she. I don't know. She's never defined that for me, but that's how I take it. So I asked, probably because she has all the answers, right? Yes? Okay. So I asked Chat to explain to me what the human heart does like I'm a child. Okay, so if you're ever asking Chat to explain something to you, add that like I'm a child. It's great. It really adds something to it. So Chat says, okay, imagine your heart is like a superhero pump inside your chest. Its job is to move blood all around your body, just like a water pump moves through a garden hose. Your blood is super important because it carries oxygen that your body needs to work and nutrients like food for your body. What if I did the whole message like this? You guys. Your heart pushes blood through the tiny roads called blood vessels, making sure every part of you gets what it needs. It never stops working. Thump, 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 thump. Even when you're sleeping. That way your body stays happy and strong. Heart emoji, muscle emoji. If I would have had this when I was in school, I think I would have made better grades. So we're kicking it off with the biology of the heart. The muscle is very important. Miranda told me a story today. She literally saved someone's life because their heart stopped beating. On Friday. You have a lifesaver in the room. And you know what? Because chat told me how the heart works, I know what the story is about. So I'm in tune with you. I basically went to medical school via ChatGPT this week. And then it goes on to explain that if you don't take care of the heart, you could get tired and weak. Too much unhealthy food can clog the roads of your heart. You could have trouble running and playing. This all has tons of emojis attached to it, by the way. So we've established that the heart, the muscle, is important for your physical survival. But the Bible, when it's talking about the heart, isn't referring to that muscle. It's referring to this metaphorical heart. So I began to wonder, why the heart? Why not the stomach? Why not the toes? Why not the brain? Why do the Proverbs and the prophets and Jesus talk so much about the heart? And the Bible uses the heart as a metaphor for the center of life because of how people in ancient times, the people who were writing the Bible, understood the heart's role in human existence. The physical role of the heart in life is that it pumps blood. In Leviticus 17, it says the life of the body is in its blood. The brain wasn't the focus of ancient thought because they didn't understand it to be the control center of thought and decision making the way that we understand it now. Instead, they observed how human emotion was felt physically right here in your chest. So think about when you're scared or you're nervous, your heart kind of starts beating very quickly, right? When you're sad, there's just a heaviness. You just feel heavy in your chest. When you're happy, you feel light. When you feel love, what do they say? Your heart skips a beat, right? When you're angry, there's that heart pounding and a flush that comes over you. When you're relaxed, that beat is slow and smooth. And so this all reinforced the idea that the heart was the control center of the body. And the heart represents a whole person. In 1 Samuel chapter 16, when David is unexpectedly anointed as the king, the Lord tells Samuel, people judge by outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. There's something different from what's on the outside and what's on the inside. The heart was seen as this core of thought and emotion and will. In Proverbs 23:7, it says, for as he thinks within himself, he is. And finally, the heart is the center of devotion. Jack spoke about this verse last week in Deuteronomy chapter 6. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your strength. The heart is understood as the source of thoughts, emotions, and decisions, and it physically sustains our life. The heart is important. And so wherever you are in life, no matter the season that you're in, the stage of life that you're in, the trials that you face, the victory laps that you're running, now is the time to do the heart work. Heart work is boring. It doesn't yield flashy results. It doesn't lend itself to praise from others. People don't notice the work that you're doing. It's internal, it's repetitive, and it's a daily practice that we have to do, but it's vital to sustaining your life. So today we're going to look at the heart. We're going to take a deep dive into this proverb, and we're going to talk about how we should do the boring work of taking care of the heart. Let's pray. God, we love you. We thank you for this day. I thank you for the hearts and minds that are in this room or watching online, and I pray, Holy Spirit, that you would speak to us, that you would speak more than the words that come out of my mouth, God, that there would be things that we think about and that we chew on and that we take home with us, and that we continue this work of taking care of our heart because it belongs to you, Jesus. We love you. In your name, amen. Oh, I'm fired? Okay. Oh, great. He wants to fire me in person. He doesn't want to do it over text message. All right, turn with me to Luke chapter 6. Luke chapter 6. We're going to look at verses 43 through 45. This is Jesus talking. He says, "A good tree can't produce bad fruit, and a bad tree can't produce good fruit. A tree is identified by his fruit. Figs are never gathered from thorn bushes, and grapes are not picked from bramble bushes." Oh, a good person produces good things from the treasury of a good heart, and an evil person produces evil things from the treasury of an evil heart. What you say flows from what is in your heart. Can I tell you guys that we have a new volunteer on the computer today, and I apologized to him when he came in the door. I said, "This is your first time? I'm so sorry," because I bring so many notes. It's good. He's doing a great job. All right. The reason we need to do the boring heart work is because what we put out into the world is determined first by what we put inside our hearts. We're going to look at this opening verse that we read, Proverbs 4:23. We're going to take it piece by piece. We're going to discuss 3 things about our heart. We're going to use the NIV version of this for the sake of structure. So the first thing about our hearts is the priority. It starts off by saying, above all else. The proverb writer is talking about the priority of guarding your heart. So just like you can't neglect your heart physically, you also can't neglect your heart in the spiritual. The phrase in the original Hebrew is mikol mishmar, which means above all guarding, or more than anything you guard. It's a phrase that implies the highest priority, even more than guarding your wealth or your reputation or your physical safety. So think about what you do to guard your money. You put it in a bank. That bank has a vault that has a lock. It's very secure. You have your online bank account and you create a password that nobody can remember, right? It's got all the uppercase, lowercase, random letters. And you do this so that it is secure, so that other people can't get into it. Think about how you secure your home. You lock your doors at night. You double check them. You get out of bed when your wife is laying in bed and going, "Did we lock all the doors?" And so you have to get up and you have to go check all the doors again, right? You park your car in the garage. You have cameras outside of your home. You're doing all these things. You're making an investment to protect your physical safety. And that's the kind of priority that the writer is talking about when it comes to how we take care of our heart. So number 1, the heart is a priority. Number 2 is the responsibility. It says, above all else, guard your heart. And this is when the translations say things like, keep vigilant watch over your heart. The Hebrew word here is netzor, which means keep watch over and guard carefully. It's an active protection, like a watchman who's over a city. When this word is used elsewhere in the Old Testament, it's always referring to carefully protecting something that is valuable. In Proverbs 28, God actively guards the path of righteousness. And this is the same call that he gives to us to actively guard our heart. In Nahum 2:1, a military command urges the people of Nineveh to guard their fortress before destruction comes. They're to stand and watch and defend diligently. In Psalm 34:14, the psalmist encourages careful speech and self-discipline. And in Psalm 141:3, the verb is used again for protection. This work is a self-discipline. You are the only person who can take care of your heart. It is your responsibility to protect it. It's your responsibility to put good into it. And if you want good fruit to come out, only you can put the good seeds in. So on the same thought, you are not responsible to change anyone else's heart. You can offer really good advice. You can rear your children, and you should. You can lead by example. But ultimately, you can't do the heart work of someone else. It is a self-discipline. It is something that you are responsible for your own. The responsibility belongs to each of us to guard our own hearts. So 3 things about the heart. Number 1, the priority above all else. Number 2, the responsibility. Guard your heart. And number 3 is the capacity. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Let's go back to the other translations. It flows the springs of life. Out of it are the issues of life. That's where life starts. It determines the course of your life. All these translations point to that original Hebrew meaning, that everything is shaped by the heart. There's a parable found in Matthew chapter 13 where Jesus is talking about seeds being dropped on different kinds of soil. So the seeds that fall on the footpath, it's this hard ground. They can't get into the dirt, and so the birds come through and they eat it up immediately. The seeds get eaten up immediately. And then there's some seeds that fall into rocky soil. And so they get into the soil and they sprout up really quick, but as soon as the hot sun goes on to that plant, it dies because it's not deep enough. The roots are not deep enough. It's too shallow to continue to thrive. And then there's seeds that are dropped into thorny bushes, and so they sprout up a little bit, but then they get choked out by everything that's surrounding them. And then in Matthew 3:8, it says, "Still other seeds fell on fertile soil. They produced a crop that was 30, 60, and even 100 times as much as had been planted." And so the effectiveness of the seed is dependent on the condition of the soil. And so I want you to think today, what is the condition of the soil of your heart? Is it that hard ground that as soon as something hits it, it just disappears, it just gets scooped up? Are you so distracted by everything that's happening around you, and you're so caught up in all of life's circumstances that even if some good plants and good seeds start to sprout, it just gets choked out immediately? Or do you have good things planted into you and you say, oh, that's a good word, I'm going to take that home with me, but your roots aren't deep enough. And so as soon as the first hard moment strikes, it's gone. Or is it a fertile soil where those seeds can take root, a deep root, and plant and thrive and produce good fruit? The capacity of your harvest is dependent on the condition of your heart. You can't obtain what your heart can't contain. And so when tragedy strikes, or the unthinkable happens, or when you arrive at this crossroads, and even if it's not you, even if it's someone who's close to you, who you love and that you care about, how do you react? And what do you do? That's a result of the condition of your heart. How do we create fertile soil in our heart? The very first verse I ever memorized was Psalm 119:11. It says, "I've hidden your word in my heart." Learn to read this book. It has the truth. It has the hope. This is the good seed that you need to make the soil of your heart fertile. This verse that we're looking at today, it's a proverb, so it comes from a book of wisdom, and wisdom isn't the law, but it's some really, really good advice here in the book of Proverbs. And Jesus and the authors in the New Testament affirm this piece of advice about taking care of your heart. In Matthew 15, Jesus affirms that the heart is the source of all of our actions. He says, anything you eat passes through the stomach and goes into the sewer, but the words that you speak come from the heart, and that's what defiles you. From the heart comes evil thoughts, murder, adultery, sexual immorality, theft, lying, slander. These are what defile you. And so Jesus is confirming that what we speak and the things that we do comes from what's stored in our hearts. In Ephesians chapter 6, Paul writes a metaphor about the armor of God that we should put on. And in verse 14, he says, stand your ground, put on the belt of truth and the breastplate of righteousness. What does the breastplate protect? Your heart. Righteousness is your spiritual defense to guard your heart. Paul writes in Philippians chapter 4, verse 7, his peace will guard your hearts and minds as you live in Christ Jesus. God's peace is our guard. Trusting and dwelling in his presence protects your heart. So here we go. Here's the application part. Here's 3 ways that you can keep your heart right. If you're taking notes, this is a great place to start taking notes. Okay. Number 1, posture yourself in humility. In James 1, verses 19 and 20, it says, my dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to become angry, because human anger does not produce the righteousness that God desires. Remember that righteousness, that breastplate of righteousness, is what protects your heart. And so if you are full of anger, you do not have that breastplate of righteousness guarding your heart and taking care of that fertile soil. Verse 20 says, therefore, get rid of all moral filth and evil that is so prevalent, and humbly accept the word that is planted in you, which can save you. A lot of times we like to stop at verse 19, because let's face it, we could all use that advice, right? It feels like maybe we need to write verse 19 on a Post-it note and stick it on our phones and on our computers and in our car and on our mirror and on our TV, so that when we're scrolling through our social, or I don't know, even watching the news, we can remember that we should be slow to anger, quick to listen, slow to speak. We live in this extremely polarized society where the knee-jerk reaction is to get mad and just be full of anger. And I am begging you, my Christ-following brothers and sisters, quit it. Okay? You do not need to be the loudest person in the room. That's not what Jesus called us to. Jesus said, be slow to speak. Slow to anger. Because anger is the opposite of the righteousness that he called us to, that he protects us with. And so anger is an opposing force to humility, and humility is the posture that points us toward having a pure heart. A few weeks ago, Jack closed his service down here on the floor. And he either did it on the fly or he forgot to tell the guys in the booth that he was closing down here. And so they had to scramble the cameras to get Jack on the camera for the online service. And I just happened to be back there when they were doing this, and I'm cracking up because they're, scrambling. And Lee Farmer looks at me, and he goes, you are just as bad as he is. I was like, excuse me? He was like, you will walk all the way to the farthest end of the stage, and before you can even stop, you're turned around to come back to the center. I was like, first of all, I have to get back to my notes. If you think I can preach without being in front of my notes, you got another thing coming. And he said it was like chasing a cat. That is low. He's telling me this, and I was laughing so hard, tears were coming out of my eyes. And they were laughing tears. I wasn't sad because he's right. How am I doing today, Lee? Yes! Thumbs up. When I saw that Lee was on the cameras and I knew I was telling this story today, I was like, oh, this is good. This is gold. I know it's a silly example, but I can humbly accept that note because, first of all, he's right. But my heart isn't on edge. I'm not defensive. I'm not super insecure about what I look like up here. And so it's something that I know that I can improve on. And I did go back and watch some of my old messages, and I totally do that. I'm just sprinting all over the stage. Are you keeping up with me, Lee? Come on, Lee. Follow me, Lee. All right. He did shake his head no, yeah. That's a guy that's been in volunteer ministry a long time. All right. First thing. Posture yourself in humility. The second thing, position yourself for accountability. Now you have to remember you're the only person who can guard your heart, but you can and you should get people in your life who can see the things that you can't see. We see this all throughout the Bible. The prophet Nathan held David accountable when he had this horrible idea to get a woman's husband killed so that he could sleep with her. Okay? He called him out on it. Moses had Aaron to be a mouthpiece to give him wisdom to lead with him. Paul and Barnabas encouraged each other all throughout ministry. And Jesus, with his disciples, he taught them and he corrected them often. Accountability will reveal the blind, the deaf, and the dumb spots that we all have. You need people in your life who you can trust and who will speak into your life. Last month I had a girls' day with my best friend, and we did what we always do. We ate food and we solved all the world's problems. We were getting pedicures and we were just talking about life, about all the things. And I was sharing with her how I have this issue with some people in my life. And I'm telling her my frustrations with these people in my life. And she's listening. And then she looks at me and she says, well, have you told them that you're feeling this way? Confrontation, excuse me? No. And she said, well, until you talk to them about it, it kind of sounds like a you problem and not a them problem. Okay. Dang. Try to make me a better person or whatever, that's fine. I just wanted to get a pedicure today. You have the audacity to try to make me a better person? Quit. But let's be real about a few things. First of all, she was right. Second of all, even if what she said was tough for me to hear, I trust her. And I've chosen to trust her. And third, if this talk was with someone that I didn't trust, and they said the same thing, it wouldn't have landed the same way. And so you don't have to be accountable to anybody and everybody. You're not responsible for that. You should let yourself be held accountable by people that you trust and people who love you, people who love the Lord, people who want what's best for you. Because I know that she speaks with spiritual wisdom. And I know that she prays for me. And I know that her intentions are good. And so I can position myself for accountability with her in our relationship. You need this kind of friend in your life. And if you don't have one, you need to start praying right now that God gives you that person, that God shows you who that person can be. You are the only person who can allow someone to speak into your life that way. You don't have to take everything that people say to you, but you should find someone that you do take their advice because you trust them and you know that they want what's best for you. So 3 keys for keeping your heart right. Posture yourself with humility. Position yourself for accountability. And number 3, pour your heart out to God with vulnerability. Isn't it so weird how sometimes we feel like we have to impress God? How we feel like he doesn't know all of our business already? And how we feel like he doesn't know everything from our past and everything that we're feeling? As if he didn't create us and he doesn't know us. And if you're at a place where you feel like you can't just be vulnerable with God, I would beg you to reconsider. The Psalms are full of these heartfelt cries of vulnerability for all of the emotions and situations that we find ourselves in. And so I'm going to put them up here, and we are going to go through them. We're going to go through them really quickly. So the first one is when you're hurt. Psalm 6:3. I'm sick at heart. How long, O Lord, until you restore me? Maybe you're bitter. Then I realized that my heart was bitter. I'm all torn up inside. Maybe you're anxious. Psalm 139:23. Search me, O God. Know my heart. Test me. Know my anxious thoughts. Maybe you're sad. Psalm 42:2. My heart is breaking as I remember how it used to be. Maybe something in your life is impure. Psalm 26:2. Put me on trial, Lord. Cross-examine me. Test my motives and my heart. Maybe you're tired. Psalm 26:2. I'm exhausted and completely crushed. My groans come from an anguished heart. If you're a parent, I think this is an acceptable answer to how are you? How are you? I'm exhausted and completely crushed. That's fair. I would take that. If you're overwhelmed, Psalm 61:2. From the ends of the earth, I cry to you for help when my heart is overwhelmed. Lead me to the towering rock of safety. Or if you're just broken, Psalm 69:20, their insults have broken my heart, and I'm in despair. If you can't find your own words to be vulnerable with God, you can start with this list right here. Get back in this book, go into the Psalms, all the emotions, all of the feelings, all of the situations. There's probably a psalm that reflects that. You just start praying that. You just start telling those things to God. Be vulnerable with him. None of this talk about getting your heart right or guarding your heart matters until you give your heart to Jesus. When we talk to kids about salvation in kids' church, we often use the phrase, ask Jesus into your heart. And salvation is when you give the center of your life, where everything starts, you put Jesus there. Everything starts with Jesus when you give your heart to him. Giving your heart to Jesus is inviting him to be the place where everything you do starts, and then you guard that place. You guard that relationship, and you put it above everything else. And when we give our hearts to Jesus, that's the call that we now have. And then we get to watch this good fruit come out of it. We get to watch the good that comes out of your mouth when you speak encouragement instead of speaking slander. When you start to pray for people instead of gossiping about them. That comes from the good in our hearts, and the good can come from our hearts when we put Jesus there. Transformation can happen because you're doing the heart work. You're doing it every day. You're doing it consistently, and it's boring and it's thankless. But it's the most important work that you can do because only you can do it. So today we're going to pray. I'm going to give you an opportunity. If you have not given your heart to Jesus, we'll pray together. And then if you're in here and you're just thinking, oh man, I don't know if my heart is that hard ground or the rocky soil. I don't know what's going to happen to seeds that land in the soil of my heart. Maybe now is the time to start thinking about it. Let's bow our heads and pray. God, we love you. We love that you have given us this wisdom, but then you have affirmed it in the words of Jesus. God, we thank you that you have given us tools to protect our hearts. Right now, I speak against anger in the room. God, I pray that anger would just be replaced with humility. That people would see the hard parts of their heart in places where they're not willing to receive any instruction. God, I pray that that softens right now. God, I pray for people in the room who don't have that person in their life who can speak truth into them. I pray that you would arrange the meeting so that that relationship can form. God, I pray that we would be vulnerable enough and humble enough to accept godly instruction, godly correction. That our hearts would continue to grow and would produce good fruit because it's full of you. If you're in the room today and you've never asked Jesus into your heart, you've never asked him to be the center of where all life begins, we're just going to pray this prayer together, and I'm going to ask everyone in the room to pray it with me. Jesus, I believe you're the Son of God. I believe that you died for my sins. Come into my heart, be the center of my life, and help me produce good fruit. Amen. Amen. Before Colby comes up to close today, I want to share with you an opportunity that we have for a Serve Sunday project. As most of you know, we've been calling March Madness, and honestly, Molly and I have been a little concerned the past few weeks, and we've been calling it March Mehness because we've had such a hard time nailing down a project that we can go off campus and do, and that we can close down church in our typical Serve Sunday fashion. And I had the opportunity to meet with a program in Cleburne, Texas this week. It's called Crazy 8 Ministries, and what they are is they're a home for women who are coming out of desperate situations, and it's a group home for them where they can come. They have their own private rooms, but then they have a community kitchen and living room and playroom. They can come there with their children. They can all live there in this home together, and what they do is they just give them affordable living so that they can get back on their feet. One of the things on their website says they're attacking poverty one person at a time. And so I got to go down to their site this week, and I got to see some of the projects that we could possibly do. And this building just needs a lot of TLC. But the program is about to launch. Within the next few years, they're going to launch a campaign so that they can build a new building. And so they don't want to invest a lot into the current building because they say we're only going to be in this building for about 10 more years. But they're not going to be very comfortable if the building doesn't get a little TLC in the next 10 years. So this is a great opportunity for us because we come in and we fund the projects that we do. And so there are a few things, like they have a large, long fence in their backyard where children are playing, and there are portions of this fence that are winds blow away from falling over. And so we can come in and do things like that. Their grass that's out there is just covered in stickers. The kids can't even run through it because there's just stickers like crazy in there. Inside, they've got a playroom that needs some updating. All the toys, you can tell, are just old, and they were donated probably a long time ago. They have a resource room that they use as a classroom that just kind of is a room. It doesn't have any life in it. It doesn't have any love in it. And so we have the opportunity to go out there, and we're trying to finalize the projects that we can do, but we need a few answers from you first. First of all, we need to know if you have any special skills in fence repair. Or I went into a room and they turned on the light switch and the overhead fan died right in front of me. It just, I don't want to touch that. But if you know someone who maybe is an electrician who could come in and help us with something like that. There's some floorboard issues. There's some paint that could be done. All these different things that could be done. So if you have some sort of special skill and you know that you're going to be available on March 23rd, I want you to fill out the Connect card. I want everybody to take a Connect card that's in front of them. And I want you to tell me if there's something specific that you know that you could help with when it comes to, think renovation type, but we're not going to rip out any walls or anything like that, okay? So fixing up this location, fixing up this space. And a lot of you may be like, I don't have any special skills, but I'm a hard worker and I can follow directions really good. That's me. So tell me if you're going to be at the Serve Sunday on March 23rd, because we need to know about how many bodies we might have there. And then some of you may be like, look, I can't be there on the 23rd. I don't have any special skills, but I want to commit to this. I want to be a part of this. We also have to fund the projects, okay? And if we were to do everything that is possible to be done there, I'm guessing that it would be about twice as much as we usually spend on a Serve Sunday. And so the reason that I'm coming to you with this is because I don't want to promise them anything that we can't deliver on, okay? And so when I go back to them this week, I want to be able to tell them we can fix this part of the fence, we can repaint this room, we can redo this playroom, whatever those things are. I want to be able to come to them with confidence that we can deliver on the things that we're promising them. So you can fill out that Connect card. You can even leave it in the seat pocket, or leave it in the seat that you're sitting in right now. We'll just have Joe and Rob sweep through after the room clears out, and they'll just pick all those things up. So you don't even have to put them in the giving stations at the back. But if you would just help me with that, if you would help us better understand what we can offer them, we're going to be doing that on March 23rd. We are going to be partnering with them. We are going to do that. So you can mark your calendars for that, but we just need to know what we can bring to them. Colby, I've been talking long enough. You got to get up here and save everybody, okay? All right. Y'all have a great Sunday.
I don't know about y'all, but that was a wonderful sermon today. The thing that I think about those kind of sermons is when it can connect to you personally, and what she preached on today definitely connected to me personally, and I think it connected to a good amount of other people here as well. So I'm going to touch on a few quick announcements before we dismiss for today. So just like last year, we had a project that we were doing. It's our snack pack project. So what we are going to do here on March 9th, we are going to package snack packs. And what we're doing is we're creating these snack packs for Carter Park Elementary School in Fort Worth. This is specifically for the students that are dependent on the free and reduced lunches and breakfasts that they would get during the actual school week, so that during that spring break time frame, when they're not in school, they will have food. They will have these snacks that we're going to put together. So on the seat back pocket in front of you, if you scan that QR code, that will take you to an Amazon wish list where you can select the items that's been pre-populated that we're going to have. So you can deliver those starting next Sunday. So next Sunday, you can drop those off here. And then after church, here at church, on March 9th, we're going to put all those together. And then we're going to deliver those. Someone's going to deliver those out to Carter Park Elementary. So we're doing this in tandem with Buddy and Ruth Calzada, who lead up Fort Worth Metro Ministries. So we are doing the same project that we did last year. Again, that's going to be drop those off starting next Sunday here, and then on the 9th after service, we're going to put those together. Also, the kids and youth camp signups, the registration is now open. You can also register for those by scanning the QR code in the seat back pocket in front of you. Parents, please register your kids. We want to have an opportunity for them to go and experience Jesus, to have fun, to go and, I don't know, is the blob still there? Is this? Okay. But back in the day, that was the highlight of camp for me. And I'm not a big person, so I was always the guy that got launched from the end of the blob. Yes. Yes. You're the launcher. Okay. Dane's the launcher. We'll have fun together. Here at the Well, everybody's welcome because everyone matters and anything is possible. Let's make it a great week.